Right, so let's look at one of the solution. So this is one solution that I copy paste from the Ethernet. Oh. Run that. Let me make sure that we have enough space for the graph. So analyze data inflammation 0, 1. So this brings down 3 graphs. Is this function correct? Sorry? Speak up.
It's not correct.
Sorry? It generates the graph. Is this correct? Let me do one thing. Let's do that. Ah. Give me a second. Right, let's run this again. So actually, this so analyze data inflammation. When I run this again, with my environment clear out, it's no longer correct. So this is a trap that you have to be careful when you're working on your own, and particularly when you are developing prototype. Within this function, you are calling apply that, but where is that? What is that? This should be, you have to assign here. The reason that it works before is because you are executing this function within this global environment that you already have a leftover variable named that from before. So it doesn't recognize that error. But as I clean out the global environment and I rerun it, that error shows up. So you have to be very mindful about that between moving on the prototype into a production environment. Keep in mind that R is an interpreted language. So even though everything in here is run as a function, so technically I need to call analyze, I can still execute each function directly. The only issue is that I don't have the file name. So let's say if I assign file name equal, if I run this, then I can run this command inside a function. So this is actually also, this is a way for you to test the individual step of your function if you don't want to run it as a whole. If you run the function as a whole, if I run analyze file name, I don't see any of this happening, and all that I see is the final plot. But you can test, if you set file name equal to variable, you can run each of the command individually, and you can test the validity, not the validity, you can test the correctness of the internal part of your function before you testing the entire function as a whole. So with that, I think everybody got the rescale function, and I can just reuse the rescale function. I'll let this in. So one item to keep in mind when you are calling function is, so far we have looked at functions. Let's say when you input the argument, we either do that equal read.csv data information, you can see from here is when I start typing the read.csv, you can see that except for file, which is what you have to input in, a variety of other variables has some default value. So let's say if I don't specify the header, then this read.csv function will take it that the header equal to true, save equal to comma, quote equal to slash quote, decimal place, you look at the dot and it'll tell it as decimal place. It will automatically fill in any empty value, and it will recognize any comment character. There's no comment character here. So let's see. Let's say if I rerun this, I don't have to say that header equal to true. Let's see if this shows. I can just put a false in here, and it would still run correctly. 60/40. Let's say if I do that 2 equal to read.csv, and I put false here, it will not run. So you can either specify the argument names with the value specifically, or if you don't want to do that, you have to do it in order. But I can do this. That works. If you want to name the input argument out of order, then you have to have the input argument name. Otherwise, you have to put in the argument in the order that this initial function specified. So let's go back and redo the center function. So now I have the center function, I have the data and the desired. So now I can set desired equal to 0. So this way, if I run let's redo that. So I'm reloading the setup function. So now if I do center, I don't have Z anymore. If I run that, and I run center of Z, it's go to 0. And if I run center of Z, 1, it switch to 1. So it's a way to dynamically create default value for the input data set. So with that, let's do the next challenge. So which is to go ahead and rewrite the scale value for rescale function so that it still does the same thing, but by default it would scale vector to be between 0 and 1. But it allows the user to specify the lower and the upper bound.